Emeralds have long symbolized rebirth, wisdom, and power. Worn by empresses, queens, and princesses, they were believed to calm tempests, soothe the soul, and reveal truth to the wearer. But behind their glowing green beauty, some emeralds conceal darker truths, secrets their owners didn't want you to know. In today's video, we unveil the hidden pasts of 5 royal emerald jewels, starting with a brooch recently worn by Queen Camilla at Royal Ascot, a piece linked not just to imperial grandeur, but to a forgotten scandal and a lucky lottery ticket. On the day 2 of Royal Ascot this year, Queen Camilla appeared in soft green silk, topped with a sweeping hat. But it was the emerald brooch pinned at her shoulder that truly stole the spotlight. Bold, elegant, and quietly, rather controversial. This is the Cambridge Emerald Cluster Brooch. Part of a much larger treasure, the Delhi Durbar Emerald Parure, created in 1911 for Queen Mary's triumphant appearance as Empress of India. The emeralds in this set trace their origin not to the British crown, but to a charity lottery in Frankfurt. In the early 1800s, Duchess Augusta of Cambridge purchased a lottery ticket and won a cache of stunning Colombian emeralds. They passed from her to her daughter, Princess Mary Adelaide, and then to her son, Prince Francis of Teck. But upon his death, the emeralds weren't left to his sister Queen Mary, as she expected. Instead, Francis, a known philanderer, bequeathed them to his mistress, Ellen Constance Baldock, Countess of Kilmorey. The scandal rocked royal circles. Queen Mary, horrified, quietly bought the emeralds back for £10,000 and had the will sealed to suppress the affair from public view. That single act, hiding a royal embarrassment, would echo through history. From that point on, royal wills were sealed, not to be opened for public scrutiny. Even Prince Philip's will, sealed in 2021, is set to remain closed for 90 years. So the brooch Camilla wore, sparkling in the summer sun, is more than an heirloom. It's a symbol of empire, secrecy, and a mistress's moment of triumph, hidden behind a lock and key of royal protocol. The next emerald witnessed the rise and fall of an empire. It began its glittering journey in the hands of an empress, and survived the violent collapse of the very empire she once ruled. It belonged to Catherine the Great of Russia, one of history's most powerful and polarizing women. Born a minor German princess, she seized the Russian throne by engineering the overthrow of her husband, Tsar Peter III, who later died mysteriously in prison, under circumstances few dared question. Catherine's rule was defined by brilliance, ruthlessness, and an insatiable appetite for power, for culture, and for lovers. Her court glittered with philosophers, painters, and jewels. Among them, a magnificent rectangular-shaped Colombian emerald weighing 107.6 carats, radiant with imperial ambition, passed down through the Romanov line. The emerald was gifted by Tsar Alexander II to his daughter-in-law, Grand Duchess Maria Pavlovna, the famed Grand Duchess Vladimir. When revolution erupted in 1917, Maria escaped the tragic fate of the Romanovs by fleeing the country. She also managed to smuggle her legendary jewelry collection, including this emerald and the infamous Vladimir Tiara, with the help of loyal friends. After her death, the emerald was inherited by her son, Grand Duke Boris Vladimirovich, who later sold it to Cartier. In Paris, the stone was recut from its original 107 carats to 75.61, sacrificing mass for perfection. Cartier transformed it from a rectangular cut into a dramatic pear shape, setting it as a spectacular pendant necklace, a modern jewel reborn from the ashes of empire. In 2019, the necklace resurfaced at Christie's in Geneva, where it was sold for 4,335,000 Swiss francs, approximately $5.3 million, a fitting price for a jewel born in the court of Catherine the Great, and carried through revolution, exile, and rebirth. Before we dive into our next emerald tale, if these hidden royal stories move you or bring a little sparkle to your day, you can send a super thanks right below the video, or treat me to a virtual coffee via Buy Me a Coffee. Thank you for supporting me and keeping the jewelry box open. Now, back to the jewels. Our third emerald tale brings us to the Nordic twilight. Meet the Norwegian Emerald Parure, a suite of diamonds and emeralds that has adorned generations of Scandinavian royal women, yet tells a story not of splendor, but of hardship, adaptation, and survival. According to various sources, the Parure originated in 1806, when Princess Augusta of Bavaria received it from Napoleon himself as a wedding gift, upon her marriage to his stepson, Eugene de Beauharnais, Duke of Leuchtenberg. But empires fade faster than gemstones. Their daughter, Princess Amélie, briefly became Empress of Brazil as the second wife of Emperor Pedro I. After his abdication, Amélie was forced to pawn the Emerald Parure in London as collateral for a loan, a desperate act to stay afloat. Luckily, she recovered her jewels. When she died in 1873, the Parure passed to her sister, Queen Josephina of Sweden, who later gifted it to her daughter-in-law, Queen Sophia of Sweden and Norway. Sophia loaned the tiara to her grandson's wife, the beautiful and tragic Crown Princess Margareta, who wore it to the coronation of her cousin, King George V of Britain. Though she was destined to be queen, as the wife of the heir to the Swedish throne, Margareta died young, never received the crown. Upon Queen Sophia's death in 1913, the Parure was inherited by Princess Ingeborg, who was married to Sophia's third son, Prince Carl. Ingeborg made significant alterations to the Parure. The two large pear-shaped emeralds flanking the central square stone were removed and replaced by palmette motifs, later turned into earrings. Most jewelry historians believe this change disrupted the harmony of the tiara, making it look heavier and less elegant. She also removed the 7 original necklace pendants, which were later repurposed as wedding presents for her 3 daughters, Princesses Margareta, Martha, and Astrid. In 1937, the Parure traveled again to Britain for the coronation of George VI. Worn by Ingeborg's daughter, Crown Princess Martha of Norway. Just 3 years later, its journey took a darker turn, as Nazi forces invaded Norway in 1940. Ingeborg gave the Parure to Martha not for a grand occasion, but as a life insurance. Martha fled into exile with her 3 children, including a toddler, Prince Harald, the future King Harald V of Norway. The emeralds were to be sold if needed, a glittering safety net during a time of uncertainty and war. Fortunately, the jewels were never sold. Martha returned home after the war and donned the Parure once more at Queen Elizabeth II's coronation in 1953. Sadly, Martha died of cancer just a year later, in 1954. The Emerald Parure passed to her son, Prince Harald. During the years before his marriage, Princess Astrid, his sister, served as Norway's First Lady and wore the tiara. In 1968, when Harald married Sonja Haraldsson, she became the Parure's rightful wearer, thus reinforcing the idea that even despite partial dismantling, it remains the family's best and grandest Parure, reserved for the use of the highest-ranking lady in the country. Our fourth emerald belongs to one of the 20th century's most flamboyant monarchs, King Farouk of Egypt, a man whose passions spilled over into extravagance, vice, and scandal. He inherited the throne at the age of 16, and quickly became famous for his decadent opulence. His palace housed over 2,000 silk shirts, 10,000 ties, 50 diamond-studded walking sticks. Not to mention what was reported as one of the largest pornography collections ever. At the heart of his obsession was a 27-carat Colombian emerald cabochon, later set into a platinum and diamond ring by the legendary jeweler Jar. Farouk's personal life was equally sensational. He flaunted his power by buying women, employing his valet Antonio Pulli to bring daughters of elite families to him, offering dowries and even coaxing reluctant fathers under royal pressure. Among his official mistresses were Irene Ginnell, British socialite Barbara Skelton, and Italian opera star Irma Capes Minutolo. After his forced abdication in 1952, he fled Egypt with some jewels. But the new republic seized 246 pieces, many of which reside in Alexandria's Royal Jewellery Museum. Meanwhile, the emerald ring disappeared into private hands, resurfacing at Sotheby's in 2009, where it fetched $542,000. Farouk's final act matched his life. In 1965, he collapsed after a lavish dinner in Rome, oysters, lamb, champagne, while dining with a woman less than half his age. This emerald ring remains a potent symbol, not of royalty, but of excess, desire, and a life spent seeking fulfillment in jewels as much as pleasure. It glimmers as a trophy of a king undone by his own indulgence. Our final emerald treasure takes us back to the heart of Imperial Russia. Some jewels whisper of court glamour. This one screams of tragedy and martyrdom. The Emerald Tiara of Grand Duchess Elizabeth Fyodorovna once shimmered in the candlelight of Romanov balls. But it would one day be hidden inside real candles, smuggled through revolution. Sold several times for survival, and stripped of its emerald heart. In 1884, Princess Elizabeth of Hesse, the granddaughter of Queen Victoria and the sister of Alexandra, the last Russian empress, married Grand Duke Sergei Alexandrovich, uncle of Tsar Nicholas II. As a wedding gift, Sergei presented her with glowing cabochon emeralds that had once belonged to his mother Serena Maria Alexandrovna, wife of Tsar Alexander II. The new Grand Duchess had worn some emerald pieces on a fabric Kokoshnik before she had Bolin make them into a stunning tiara. Elizabeth quickly became a beloved figure in her new country. Her grace, beauty, and compassion earned her admiration far beyond court circles. But tragedy shattered her life in 1905, when Sergei was blown apart by a terrorist bomb. In an act of profound transformation, Elizabeth renounced her wealth and imperial rank. She founded the Marfo-Mariinsky convent, and became its abbess, caring for Moscow's poor and sick. The tiara's history turns even more haunting when you remember that Tsar Alexander II, the first owner of the emeralds, had also been assassinated. The emeralds, it seems, would pass from one doomed generation of the dynasty to another. In 1918, Elizabeth was arrested by the Bolsheviks and thrown into a 66-foot mine shaft, still alive, with other Romanovs. Grenades were hurled in after them. She died a martyr. Today, her figure stands immortalized above the west door of Westminster Abbey, one of 10 20th century martyrs remembered in stone. But the Emerald Tiara survived, thanks to Elizabeth's adopted daughter, Grand Duchess Maria Pavlovna the Younger, who smuggled it out of Russia hidden in hollowed-out candles. In exile and desperate for funds, Maria sold the tiara in 1922 to King Alexander I of Yugoslavia. His wife, Queen Maria, wore it for grand events. But again, fate followed the emeralds. Alexander was assassinated, making him the third husband of emerald's wearer to die violently. When the Yugoslav crown fell, their son King Peter II sold the tiara in 1953 to Van Cleef and Arpels, funding his life in exile. His wife, Queen Alexandra, was relieved. She believed the tiara was cursed. She said it physically hurt her when she wore it. Van Cleef and Arpels removed the historic emeralds and sold them to an unknown buyer. They replaced the stones with glass paste, a shockingly casual end for a jewel with such historic and cultural significance. Today, the tiara still exists, empty, ghostly, occasionally loaned to socialites and celebrities. Its emeralds are gone. Its princesses are gone. Only the legend remains. Glimmering, grief-stricken, and unforgettable. From mistresses and empires to exiles and auctions, these emeralds have seen it all. They shimmer with more than light. They shimmer with secrets. Which of these 5 would you wear, if you dared?